Welcome to Davy's Take. Today we are talking about The Iron Claw, the new film starring ZAC Efron and Jeremy Allen White. The true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers, who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. I don't really know much about wrestling. I know the big names. I've heard of the Von Erich brothers before, but I haven't heard their full story. And now that I know their full story, holy fucking shit. I won't give any specific details or facts about the Von Erich brothers because those would be major spoilers for this film. And this film has one of the most unbelievable, tragic, heartbreaking stories I've ever seen. I was not expecting this depressing but inspirational wrestling movie, but I have to say, it's pretty damn good. So yes, I did enjoy The Iron Claw. And the first thing I want to talk about are the performances because they are magnificent. They are fantastic. ZAC Efron is great here. This is probably the best performance of his career. Will he be nominated for an Oscar? I'm not really sure. I think he deserves so because it seems like he's put so much into this role and really gave it his all. He plays Kevin Von Erich and he goes through so much throughout the film. And I think ZAC Efron really nailed what needed to be portrayed here because, like I was saying before, it really is a truly unbelievable, tragic story. Another amazing performance was Jeremy Allen White. He was fantastic here, but he's always fantastic. I love Jeremy Allen White. He was great in The Bear. If you haven't seen The Bear, go watch The Bear. It's a great show, but he's really great in this movie as well. Another performance I liked that was sort of underrated was Colt McCallany. He plays the father. He plays this dickhead, really controlling dad that sometimes people underestimate how hard it is to get that character right, and I thought he nailed it. But what this film does best is really portray this bond between the Von Erich brothers. You can tell that these brothers really love each other. They're best friends. They will go to war for any of them, and it's really portrayed perfectly here. And that is really the heart and soul of this film, is family, the best sides of it, but also the worst sides of it too. Another thing this film does well is establish and make the audience understand the pressure these brothers are going through when they're navigating through the wrestling world, why they want to get to the top of the wrestling world. There's a lot of good reasons why Kevin and his brothers want to be on top of the wrestling world, but there's also a lot of wrong reasons too. The film really portrays that sometimes that stuff isn't really that important. But the film shows when you're consumed by idea that you want to be champion for your family or for yourself, sometimes that can lead to a tragic outcome. I also like the direction here. I thought Sean Durkin did a great job. There's some shots that are long takes. He establishes this world of the 1980s that I thought was really well done, but it goes into some of my issues with the film because this film isn't perfect, but I do think it's really well done. But one of the issues I have with this film is it feels like some things are missing. I'm not saying that there are extra scenes that were maybe cut out from the film, but there are parts where we see our characters. It's weird to say characters because they're real life people, but it feels like there's elements of the story that weren't shown in the film that I think if they were shown in the film, it would have been a little bit more elevated. And I think there are some things towards the end of the film that I feel like there should have been a little bit more resolution. I like the choice they made, and I won't say anything because of spoilers, but part of me wishes there should have been one more conversation with two characters. And speaking of cutting things out, this film is about true events. So anytime I see a film like this, I go on Wikipedia and look up how accurate the film depicts it. For the most part, this film does a good job, but they leave out one person from the Von Erich family, which I thought was a strange choice. In reading interviews with Sean Durkin, I guess I understand why he had to do that, but when you're telling a story like this, as tragic as it is, I feel like you have to put everyone in it. I get that you're trying to tell a narrative and you want to tell this narrative in under 2.5 hours, but I think a story like this, it deserves justice to have everyone in the film. And there's some choices that Sean Durkin makes that I really disagree with. One has to do with a spirit that sometimes showing less is better. It just felt really out of place in a film like this. And there's one scene towards the end that has to do with a boat in a pond with other characters that I get what they're trying to do. I get what they're showing us. But I feel like you should cut that scene out completely. I get the emotional punch that they're going for in this scene, but I just feel like it didn't really fit with the whole movie. But overall, I really did enjoy this experience. It did feel powerful. It's one of the most heartbreaking, tragic stories I've seen in a while, and it really did take me by surprise. So if you're a big fan of films, honestly, I would say this is definitely worth the watch. I thought the performances were great. The story, like I said, feels very powerful, and it's something I feel like is going to stick with you for days to come. I'm going to give The Iron Claw 8 Davey Daves. It would be great to see Zac Efron get nominated for an Oscar. I think he's a great actor, but I also think he's a great person, so he really does deserve it. So, The Iron Claw. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.